I'm H.L. Quist, and I am the Mythbuster, and that is the truth. What I want to talk to you about today is using socialism to save capitalism. You'll recall a couple months ago that now ex-President Bush used that comment almost literally when he was leaving the Oval Office. He was using that to explain why the socialistic intervention in the free markets using socialism as far as Hank Paulson's actions and Ben Bernanke in Congress and in formulating the TARP program and so forth as a reason and their authority really to use the socialistic concept of managed economy. But what I'd like to do today is focus on what we're seeing here is a dramatic shift in power from the Republicans now to the Democrats, from Wall Street and what I call the masters of the universe to Congress. And this is a major shift. And I'd like to take you back to 1968, and you'll recall this, I'm sure. Unless you are young folks, but the National Democratic Convention was held in Chicago that year, and this certainly is a stronghold of democratic thought and even liberal thought. And Richard Daley was the mayor of Chicago at the time. Well, their concern, the Democrat concern, was that these left-wing liberals, which we called the hippies, were going to disrupt the convention. So Mayor Daley said, we're not going to let this happen, and they had the police out in force, and when the hippies showed up, the police literally attacked them. And we witnessed this on television, and it was absolutely brutal. But what was important here, and the reason for telling you this story, is that America came away after viewing this with the concept that the Democrats were a party that was in chaos, because really the leftists were considered part of the Democratic Party. The Democrats themselves considered them outside the party, but Americans' perception was that this represented chaos and a lack of order. And what Americans wanted, and what they always want, is freedom and order, whether it be economic order or social order. They don't want disorder. But this is what led to not only Hubert Humphrey's defeat to Richard Nixon, but virtually every election up to Bill Clinton other than Jimmy Carter. The perception is that the Republicans were in control, and that they could keep the economy and society in control. But let's fast forward to 2008. 40 years later, President Obama, or President-elect Obama, picks Grant Park, almost the same place as the riots 40 years prior, as the place to celebrate his victory. And as we as Americans were viewing this event, which is historic, of course, is that the whole tenor changed. Instead of chaos, there was, and people seething with anger, there was happiness, and people were crying, were tears of joy. This was a major switch. Well, this switch, this change, is what we're talking about, because this allowed the change in power. Because, you see, the Republicans and the conservatives and the neoconservatives were now representing chaos because of what's happened in the stock market and the resentment of greed, which people associate with Republicans. Now, we know that there are leftists and liberals like George Soros that are very wealthy and very powerful, but Obama was able to convince America that he was, and the Democrats were, the party that were in control. His demeanor, his presentation, everything worked in his favor, and that's where the movement. If the Democrats would have railed against the Bush administration, they probably would have lost the election. But there is a precedent for this. Let's go back to 1929. The Republicans were in control again. We had the market crash. 1932, by 1932, the country was in a deep depression. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt ran on a platform of change. We've got to get the economy going. He had a program, he had a plan, and of course the public bought into that, is that we needed to make a change to bring order back into the marketplace and into our society. And what people don't remember is that the New Deal and all of remember the 100 days where more legislation was submitted, which we're going to experience again contemporarily, and that all of these programs that were advanced, the alphabet soup of the New Deal, didn't work. You know, unemployment was almost 25% in 1933 when FDR took office, and it improved to 14% unemployment by 1936, but we went into a second depression. People don't remember that, and unemployment climbed almost to 20% again. You know, when FDR took office, the conservatives, particularly the Republicans, he withstood the moniker of being a socialist, even a communist, and Eleanor and Franklin were called the king and queen of America. But here's the point of the story, is that the conservatives, Herbert Hoover and the Republicans, were the bad guys. These were the guys that created the crash. These were the guys that policies didn't work. So that ushered in the liberals and the Democratic Party at that time. So today, what we're seeing is a major shift, not unlike 1932, 1933. Republicans were responsible for the chaos in the marketplace and the fact that so many people are out of work. And what we're seeing now is the shift in power from the masters of the universe, Wall Street, and the big money people, to Washington, which is conceived or perceived as the people's house, and the people have the power. And of course, we know that it's in the hands of just in the hands of another party. But I think that where we are today is, will this New Deal 2 work? We're all subscribed, Americans are subscribed to the audacity of hope, and that all this plan, the stimulus plan, will work, and the economy will recover, and we can go forward from there. But the question I have for you is it the audacity of hope, or is it the mendacity of hope? And I'm going to follow this video with discussion with you today, one shortly in a couple weeks. And we're going to talk about the economic impact of the stimulus and how it's going to affect maybe possibly your investments and your business, and as you go forward trying to plan for the future. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Goodbye.